Finally, Vader says, I got to work with Undertaker at Royal Rumble. And I said, yeah. He goes, I think I'm going to have to put him over. And I said, you think? He says, I got an idea. And he says, do you think that Taker, if I did a moonsault, Taker could catch me midair and hit me with the spike, the tombstone? And I looked at Leon and I said, Leon, that's the greatest idea I've ever heard. That's going to be the greatest spot in the history of wrestling. I said, of course he can do it. He says, you think he's big enough to catch me? I'm 450 pounds. I said, Leon, easy. He said, he's a big, strong sumbitch. I said, this is going to be the greatest spot ever. He goes, really? I said, yes. I said, Taker's going to love this forever. Everybody wanted Taker's approval. So Leon is now all excited about this spot. And I said, now here's what you do, Vader. Do not tell him about this. Just call this on the fly in the middle of the match. And so Leon goes, you think so? I go, yeah, he will be so. I said, Vince will go ballistic how great this is. He goes, oh my God. He goes, you're right. He goes, thanks, man. I appreciate you helping me. So the problem was Vader couldn't stand the fact that he had this huge thing in his back pocket and he couldn't tell Taker about it. So we're sitting there the next day. I don't know if we're in Tampa or somewhere. We're somewhere in Florida. I think we're driving to Tampa. And he's sitting there, and I'm sitting across the dressing room trying to kayfabe where Taker can't see that I'm watching. So Leon says he wants to talk to him. Taker comes and sits right by Vader. And Vader explains this entire thing about the big fly, and you can see the hand motion. He goes, catch me, boom. People are going to go, banana. People go, banana. And Taker's sitting there, and he's looking straight ahead. Leon's right to his right, and he's not even looking at him. He's looking straight ahead. And we gets done. Taker pats him on the leg, gets up and walks out of the room. Doesn't say a word. Doesn't say one word. So Leon looks over at me. He goes, what does that mean? I go, he fucking loved it. I said, dude, he loved it. You're in. I said, this is the greatest spot ever. It wasn't 5 minutes later. I'm walking down the hall and I see Taker. He goes, can I have a word with you? I said, why would you want a word with me? He said, have you been riding with Leon? I said, why would you ask that? He goes, you understand that would impale me in the middle of the ring. He said, it would kill me. I said, but what a spot it would be. I said, really think you should try it. Yeah, he was like, I hate you. I said, thank you.